There's not a chance in hell that this is funny. When you see those flat, corny, late-night monologue jokes, Colbert, Jimmy Kimmel, Fallon, what they're doing is just like reading off of a teleprompter. There's applause signs, and then there's producers. There's the warm-up guy that's literally telling people to clock. They're like, okay, explain to the people.
Yeah.
Okay, when Jimmy comes out, I want a big round of applause. Let's practice this right now. Ladies and gentlemen, Jimmy Fallon. Yeah, and everybody
They
claps.
practice it.
When you realize Joe Rogan and Megyn Kelly have teamed up to roast every late-night host into oblivion, it hits you sarcasm isn't dead. It just moved to their podcast. Rogan's landing knockout blows on recycled punchlines, while Kelly slices through smug monologues like a hot mic through ego. Fallon, Kimmel, Colbert, they're dodging harder than their writers during a joke drought. What truth did Rogan and Kelly drop to make late night look like a blooper reel? Whatever it was, it's funnier than anything those hosts have managed in years.
Tell you, he's not the worst. The Daily Show has the worst ratings. They only have 366,000 people watching that show. During the Jon Stewart years, it was over 2 million. Now it's down to 300,000. Seth Meyers, absolutely dreadful. He doesn't even have 1 million, 778,000. I mean, for network television, this is, you don't have to pay for it. It's there when you turn on your TV, you plug it in. That's a dreadful number. Greg Gutfeld on cable, which you do have to pay for, it has more than...
Imagine hosting a comedy show with all the emotional depth of a parking ticket and the political nuance of a Twitter rant typed during a Red Bull crash. That's late night TV now. Rogan and Kelly aren't even trying to dismantle it there, just casually walking through the rubble, nodding at the debris like, remember when this used to be funny?
Security, nobody's going to care anymore. It's like you're seeing it take place with late night television. Nobody gives a fuck about it anymore.
I know.
And it's slowly, you have a bad business model and you're not adapting.
Yeah, the creativity's gone for late night comedy, right? Like that's not really a thing anymore.
Jimmy Fallon doing a song about different variants of COVID. But this one is so strange. It's like, what did they him up with to get him to agree to do this?
Let's talk about Jimmy Kimmel, America's favorite smug uncle who wandered onto a stage one night and forgot to leave. What used to be comedy has become a masterclass in how to swap punchlines for preachy monologues. He claps sarcastically at his own jokes like that somehow counts as satire. Watching Kimmel now feels like sitting through stand-up at a tax seminar if the accountant had a teleprompter and a messiah complex. Rogan saw Kimmel's latest monologue and basically said, if this counts as comedy, I want a refund on every bad take I've ever had. At least mine were entertaining.
I do get a little nervous when I'm seeing the left so happy, like the late night comedians last night. I'll give you a taste of how they sounded. If they're happy, I'm not happy. Like, I'm not happy about the fight, but I'm just saying I'm not like sad and all these people are like forlorn over. It's like, all right, grow up. They're having a dispute. It was bound to happen. They'll get past it. As you point out, Trump is extremely forgiving, and I'm sure Elon is too. I mean, Trump's not, whatever. Laura Ingraham reported last night she's been told it's irreparable. Nothing is irreparable with Donald Trump. Nothing is irreparable. But here's how the late night losers were making fun of it.
Elon gave us a fun one. Time to drop the really big bomb. Donald Trump is in the Epstein files. That's the real reason they have not been made public.
Kimmel used to tell real jokes back when he could laugh at himself, his guests, and pretty much everyone else. Now he stares into the camera like he's auditioning for Most Disappointed Dad at Thanksgiving. The punchlines are gone, replaced with moral lectures delivered in a tone that practically shouts, I recycle more than you, and that makes me better. If smug self-congratulation were an Olympic sport, Jimmy would be the Michael Jordan of it.
Numbers of Seth Meyers. Jimmy Kimmel, 1.5 million averaging, also equally horrible. And then there's The Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon, who, back when I was there, 2017-18, he was averaging 2.3 million a night. Now he's down to 1.3 million, Jesse. And he cannot afford the "you are toxic" controversy because he's also pulling in, reportedly, over $15 million a year. So you got all that money for 1.5 million in audience, which is a nothing. I mean, the middle of the day on Fox News gets that, or at least used to before the Tucker cut.
And then there's Stephen Colbert, the man who once masterfully skewered politics through satire, only to wake up one day as the very guy he used to mock. His evolution from razor-sharp comedian to sanctimonious school principal is so complete, you can almost imagine his old Comedy Central persona chained in a basement, sobbing into a framed photo of Jon Stewart. Colbert used to do satire. Now he dances in elf shoes and calls it political commentary. That's not comedian's performance. Art for a PTA fundraiser.
Look at some of their reactions to the news of Trump's win. Look at this.
Hey there. How are you doing? If you watch the show regularly, I'm guessing you're not doing great. Yeah, me neither.
Let's be honest, it was a terrible night last night. It was a terrible night for women, for children, for the hundreds of thousands of hardworking immigrants who make this country go. For healthcare, for our climate. It was a terrible night for poor people, for our allies in Ukraine.
Megyn Kelly didn't even need to throw a punch. She just watched Colbert's latest monologue and asked, "Is this a hostage video or a comedy sketch?" Because nothing says relatable like smugly lecturing about misinformation, while delivering punchlines with all the edge of a butter knife. Colbert used to skewer everyone, now he gently taps one side with a feather duster and applauds himself like he just saved democracy. And then there's Seth Meyers. Yes, he still exists. He's the sitcom cousin who shows up every few episodes, drops a forgettable line, and disappears into a puff of lukewarm oatmeal. His whole vibe is group project guy in a policy class explaining policy failures with a tone so condescending. Even ChatGPT would roll its eyes. Rogan couldn't even finish his protein shake, watching one of Seth's monologues before blurting out, "Is this guy allergic to charisma?" And keep in mind Rogan interviews psychedelic shamans and moontruthers who sound more convincing than Seth on his best day. Meyers used to land punchlines. Now he delivers political commentary like a grad student who printed his thesis 5 minutes before class, confident, over-caffeinated, and completely out of touch.
They don't care that much about democracy. The first time Donald Trump was elected, he started as a joke and ended as a tragedy. This time he starts as a tragedy. Who knows what he'll end as?
Any comforting words for them, Piers?
Just get over yourselves. Honestly, it's so pathetic watching grown men weep, because actually the real reason they're weeping is that they know they've spent years over-demonizing Trump as the new Hitler, and he's going to wreck everything and wreck America. He's terrible, he's a fascist, he's a neo, blah, 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 blah.
Meanwhile, the late-night hosts who once thrived on mocking the absurdities of modern life have become walking bumper stickers, plastered in virtue signals that cancel each other out. One night it's defend free speech, the next it's, how dare you use the wrong hashtag. Rogan and Kelly didn't even need to go scorched earth, they simply held up a mirror, and the reflection was so cringe. It deserved a viewer discretion warning. Rogan's entire brand is healthy skepticism, whether he's questioning co-stats or debating if Bigfoot pays rent. When he thinks your show sounds like a delusional fever dream, that's saying something. Megyn, meanwhile, didn't roast the late-night lineup, she dismantled it like an overconfident dad attacking IKEA furniture. Only this time, the instructions were written in plain logic, and the bolts were labeled, "Try being funny." She didn't need to scream, she just pointed out the obvious. These hosts have turned into corporate echo chambers, still clinging to Orange Man bad. Like it's the pinnacle of wit in 2025. Newsflash, it's not. Seth Meyers could be covering a medical breakthrough, or a natural disaster. And somehow still detours into a 3-minute rant about Trump's hairline, like it's the missing piece of national security. Kimmel can't even say good evening without a January 6th reference. As if he's emotionally tethered to the Capitol steps. It's less late-night comedy, more group therapy session, except nobody's getting better.
Jimmy Fallon doing a song about different variants of COVID. Did you see that? Have you seen it? This one is so strange. It's like, what did they drug him up with to get him to agree to do this? Like, I want to be in the meet. I want to be a fly on the wall in that meeting where they go, okay, Jimmy, this is what we're going to do. You're going to be singing about all the different variants. And it's like, here's a song. And you're going to be dancing and saying, he's like, okay.
There was Alpha, then Delta, then Omicron next. But this latest variant might be the best. It's XBB.1.5. Another brand of COVID-19 has arrived.
What is that? That's insanity. Like, look at his little dance. Like, there's no enthusiasm in his face. It's like he's...
Rogan and Kelly weren't triggered, they were bored. Late-night TV, once the pulse of irreverence and the heartbeat of cultural critique, has morphed into a cozy therapy circle for media elites. It's less about comedy, and more about congratulating each other for having the correct opinions, then turning that into a skit sponsored by oat milk, What used to be edgy and unpredictable is now a sanitized echo chamber, a looping soundbite factory where punchlines go to die. Even the audience seems to get the real joke, not the one being told, but the bleak irony that this is what comedy has become. You can hear the strained laughter and desperate applause like everyone knows they're watching a hostage situation, with the teleprompter holding the show at gunpoint, firing off pre-approved one-liners. Rogan summed it up perfectly. It's like being stuck in an improv class run by your least funny coworker, and Megyn Kelly. She didn't even flinch. It's like watching your ex try stand-up for the first time, she said, and realizing you dodged a personality bullet. The saddest part? These shows aren't crashing because people hate them, they're fading because no one cares anymore. The same stages that once gave us Carson and Letterman now host glorified TED Talks with laugh tracks. There's nothing rebellious or risky, just soft-spoken snark disguised as satire. It doesn't feel like late-night comedy. It feels like homework. Watching it is like eating kale chips out of guilt, no joy, just shame, and a blue-check influencer telling you it's good for the soul. When your edgiest joke of the week is Republicans are dumb, and it lands with the energy of a wine tasting. You're not doing satire or running a support group for the politically smug. Rogan interviews, flat earthers, and mushroom still manages more intellectual diversity than a month of late-night writers' rooms. At least Megyn Kelly debates her guests. These hosts won't even risk booking someone who might push back. The closest they come to dissent is inviting someone who once voted independent. In a Taco Bell survey,
The day when I was on the primetime of Fox and you were on the primetime of CNN, a couple of hours after our shows ended, late night comics would come on, and they occasionally would make us laugh, Pierce. I mean, occasionally they understood that they were in the game of making everyone laugh. As you know, they've abandoned that game now, and they're just political operatives out there. Colbert, Kimmel, Seth Meyers, who I struggle to even mention that guy's name. He's such an absolute prick. I can't stand him. But anyway, it's just my thought.
Late night was never meant to be polite. It was supposed to be rebellious, a cultural grenade lobbed into the halls of power. Not a cozy, safe space where elite opinions are gently spoon-fed to an audience clapping like trained seals. The joke used to be on the politicians. Now it's on the viewers because they tuned in for comedy and got a lecture on meme ethics. Stephen Colbert literally ranks politicians by truthiness. Like a third-grade teacher handing out gold stars, Kimmel delivers headlines like the press secretary for a suburban wine club, and Seth Meyers, his punchlines sound like they were ghostwritten by a civics textbook going through an identity crisis. Rogan and Kelly didn't call them out for being liberal, they called them out for being boring. Comedy is supposed to provoke, not pander. It's not meant to virtue signal or repackage whatever CNN said an hour ago, just with jazz hands and a self-satisfied smirk. And when Joe Rogan during a 3-hour podcast about elk meat and Alien Civilizations manages better comedic timing than the entire late-night lineup, maybe it's time to rethink the format. Rogan and Kelly weren't holding court. They were just the only ones willing to say what everyone else is thinking. The emperor isn't just naked, he's doing jazz hands and calling it satire. These shows have become reverse ASMR. Instead of relaxing you, they irritate with smug whispers and factory-farmed zingers. It's like someone trained an AI on lukewarm New York Times op-eds and told it to be quirky. Somewhere, David Letterman is rubbing his beard, wondering if this is all just one elaborate prank on America.
See what happened with Colbert's audience?
No.
Watch this.
Okay.
This is crazy.
Okay.
Trump has kind of been thrown on his heels by this, and he's not really sure how to go after Vice President Harris. He knew his attack lines on President Biden. He really has struggled with how to go after someone who's 20 years younger than him, who is a different gender, a different race.
I know you guys are objective over there, that you just report the news as it is. No, I know. CNN makes it. I know.
That's supposed to be a laugh line?
I wasn't supposed to be, but I guess it is.
How crazy is that? The audience is like, shut the up. That is a...
No one's saying late night needs to be politically neutral. Be biased. Be bold. Be something. Just don't be safe. Don't be dull. And don't confuse smug moralizing with comedy, because it's not. It's just noise, wrapped in applause. Nobody's tuning in for the 500th predictable jab at a politician they already dislike. They want wit, fire, risk. Something that doesn't feel like a rejected SNL cold open from 2017 instead. We get Kimmel delivering every monologue like it's the Gettysburg Address. Colbert turning jokes into sermons complete with jazz flute transitions, and Meyers serving up PowerPoint snark. Like a substitute teacher who just found out he's not getting tenure. Rogan and Kelly didn't scream. They didn't rant. They just laughed, and that was enough. Because late night has fallen so far that simply mocking its absurdity flattened the whole lineup. When your biggest competition is to podcasters riffing over coffee, and they're more entertaining, more unpredictable, and here's the real sting, more honest than your entire team of writers, you don't need critics. You need a reboot. Until then, late night is just a time capsule of what happens when satire stops biting and starts hugging. Or worse, lecturing. Rogan and Kelly didn't destroy these shows. They didn't have to. The hosts lit the match themselves. Rogan and Kelly just showed up to watch it burn.
Stephen Colbert grappling with that news.
Now, if, like me, you're wondering why the Department of Energy is the one making this judgment, it's because that agency oversees a network of U.S. national laboratories, some of which conduct advanced biological research. No. Bad energy department. No biolabs until you finish building your electric car charging stations.
Late night used to be the home of sharp wit. Now it's more like a retirement home for punchlines that flatlined in rehearsal. Joe Rogan and Megyn Kelly didn't need a wrecking ball, just a flashlight to expose the cobwebs where comedy used to live. When podcasters are funnier, edgier, and more relevant than hosts backed by million-dollar studios. Maybe it's time to kill the applause sign and rewrite the script. If you laughed, cringed, or just enjoyed watching late-night royalty get roasted without a safety net, hit that like button, drop your hottest take in the comments, and share this with someone who still thinks Colbert tells jokes. Spoiler, he doesn't.